Alright, welcome to our properties of logarithms, and this should be our medium station. So let's go ahead and take a look at example 1. Now notice there's really just two major things you have to look out for. Thing number 1, are these logarithms being added or are they being subtracted? Now in our very first example, we see that they're being added, and so what does that ultimately mean? It means we can take these two logarithms and we can rewrite it as a log base 3 parentheses, and we can take the logarithms of 3x squared, and whenever you're adding, you can actually multiply what's inside the logarithms. So in our first logarithm, we had 3x squared. In our second logarithm, we had 2. And so we can do 3x squared times 2 inside that combined logarithm. And of course, that equals a 4. Now from here, we're going to do two things. Thing number 1, we ask ourselves, what base would get rid of a log base 3? And of course, it will always be the same base as this. So log base 3, we'll do base 3 to both sides, and of course that cancels. Now let's also simplify this. What is 3 times 2? Well, of course, that will give us 6x squared is equal to, and we know that 3 to the power of 4 will actually give us, 3 to the power of 4 will give us 81. Now from here, let's go ahead and divide both sides by 6, and we'll get this. X squared is equal to, and if you type 81 over 6 in your calculator, you're actually going to wind up getting 27 over 3. Now from there, 27 over 2, or aka, you could write that as 13.5. And then from there, all we want to do is take the square root of both sides, and we'll see that x equals, let me grab my calculator, 13.5, and taking the square root of that, our x value should be 3.67. Okay, now let me go ahead and switch colors for our second example, just so that obviously makes sense. And for example number 2, notice that these logarithms are no longer being added, they are being subtracted. So how does this change it when we put the logarithms together? Well, we can write this, log base 4 of, and we'll take the first logarithmic term, 16x cubed, and whenever you are subtracting two logarithms, you actually combine the two terms by dividing what is on the inside. And of course, we'll set that equal to 3. Now, let's continue on. Let's do two steps at once. Thing number 1, to get rid of a log base 4, we will base 4 both sides, and that goes away. And let's also simplify what's inside our parentheses. We know that 16 times 2 will give us 8x cubed is equal to, and we should know by now that 4 cubed is actually 64. Now from here, how can you get rid of the 8? Well, we'll divide both sides by 8, and this will give us x cubed is equal to 64 divided by 8 is 8. And ask yourself, how do you get rid of a cube? Well, of course, we'll take the cube root of both sides, and when those go away, we're going to be left over with x equals 2. Alright, I hope this helps, and I'll see you at your next station.